So I'm 49 years old, and I'm starting this new YouTube channel. We'll see what happens with it. Um, I've tried YouTube, you know, a little bit before, and never really gave it a chance. But recently, as I was approaching my 49th birthday, I decided that something has got to change with what's going on. You know, I'm not sure if that makes sense or not to you if you're watching this. Clearly, you were probably in a similar situation. You were drawn to click on this video for whatever reason. I'm pretty nervous about putting myself out there like this on YouTube. And I'm filming this here in my home office. You can hear probably the washing machine going in the background. Maybe you can't, but this is real life. I'm here in my home office that I'm very lucky to have. I have, nice equipment that I can use to record this. It's a safe environment, so I do feel very lucky that I can do something like this. So anyway, I did use AI, and it created a script for me. I'm going to try really hard not to read it verbatim. But like I said, I'm kind of nervous doing it this first time. So thank you for the grace. So like I said, I'm 49 years old. I just turned 49 the other day. So in about a year, I'll hit 50. And when you're when you become an adult, whatever age that is for you, 50, it feels like this deadline almost. When you've reached adulthood, it almost feels like you have to be at this point in your life where you have built something stable and strong. And it's, that's the life that you are going to have for the remainder of your life. You've settled into your career, you have a routine, and it's all solidified. It's all seems very concrete. In many ways, that is my life. I have, a wonderful family. I've been married for over 20 years. I live in a safe neighborhood. I've got a nicer house. I've got vehicles, and my kids are well taken care of. So that all feels, when you're approaching 50, like, okay, you have made it to where you're supposed to be in this quote unquote American dream that we're supposed to be living, right? But I do think that we're sold this kind of collective lie that by the time you reach your late 40s or 50, you're supposed to have, reached this pinnacle or finish line. You're supposed to have the answers. You're supposed to be settled, right? But in the world that we live in, especially now in 2026 in the United States, settled feels increasingly more like being stuck. Being a middle class person, and I guess I would consider myself middle class. I don't even know what that is now with the way that the economy is, and the rate of inflation versus the rate of salaries. For all I know, I could be considered lower middle class. All I know is that what I'm doing isn't enough necessarily financially to sustain long term the needs of my family. One of the reasons why I'm here today is to kind of put myself out there and relate with the rest of you that are going through the same thing. So I'm sitting here today because I decided to stop waiting for that permission slip to change. I feel it in my gut that there needs to be some sort of major change. And I'll get into in future videos some of the things that I've gone through over the past few years that are kind of leading me up to this point at age 49. I've realized for more than a few decades of working, I started working when I was 14 years old, and here I am 49, still working. I've been in some sort of professional level desk type corporate job now since 2004. So over 20 years of doing this type of work. I realized that my story doesn't have to be over. This doesn't have to be the finish line or the pinnacle. I can still make changes, and I believe that you can too. If you've ever looked in the mirror and you've wondered if this is as good as it gets, or if you've missed your window, or you want to try something new, then I'm talking to you. This is me. I have achieved great success and great loss in my life. At the end of the day, I've always been unsettled. Just going to move through my notes here. So, 40 hours a week, my days are in this typical 9 to 5 grind. The term grind really means that, though, like that you're going to, in my mind, it means that you're eventually going to get somewhere, right? Well, in the life that I'm in right now, at least my professional life, it's kind of like the same day over and over again. And I think that's pretty familiar territory for a lot of people. You have that 9 to 5, you have, you're married, you have children, a job that provides, an income, so you can do the things that we're all inclined to do. So by all traditional metrics, we've made it, right? But there's this specific kind of exhaustion that comes with being chained to a desk for 40 hours a week. That's the way I put it. I'm sure you've heard that terminology before. We're all just here chained to our desks, whether it's here in a home office, whether it's in a corporate environment, in a cubicle, or in another office. We have to sell our time to some corporation to give us money so we can pay to live during that other time that we have left. It's not just this physical tiredness that you feel by going through this. It's this huge weight that is on your shoulders of feeling that your potential is nowhere near being met. You get that feeling on a Tuesday at 3:00 in the afternoon, and you're just, going through the motions. We spend so much of our lives building a safety net that we think is a safety net that we eventually forget why we're building it in the first place. We put that safety net in place, and we become so afraid of falling that we stop climbing altogether. That safety net is there, and it's just rotting away, and there's actually big holes in it that you don't even see. I spent years and years and years just telling myself, maybe next year, maybe when the kids get older, maybe when I have more saved up. Well, you never have enough saved up. There is always expenses that come up to take any of your savings away when you're in that position that so many of us are in. It's just that polite way of saying never. And here I am, 49, and I think I've realized, and it's been coming. I've realized that the right time is a myth. There is no right time other than right now. So why is it so hard for us to admit that we don't have it figured out? You want people to believe that you have it all figured out. You want yourself to believe it. I don't know. When you're 20, it's expected that you're a mess. You're figuring things out. You don't have a clue, right? When you're 30, people give you that pass because, oh, you're building, you're figuring things out as you go. But once you hit your 40s, there's kind of this invisible social contract that says you have to be this expert, or you have to have be to the place where you're the one with the stable advice and that kind of set path, right? So admitting in your late 40s that you want to start something new is almost taboo. It almost feels like a confession. You feel very vulnerable when you put yourself out there, and I think I've been in that vulnerable space for quite some time. It feels like you're admitting that the last 20 years weren't enough. And like I said before, I have a happy existence. I'm in a good marriage. I have a wife that loves me. I have two amazing children that I love dearly. I have supportive family around me and friends, and I have a good job. I'm trying to, start to look at things differently. The most dangerous thing that I can be in this situation is be finished, is to be settled, and to kind of just sit back. Because what happens when that safety net is completely taken away and you don't realize it, and then you fall? So I'm looking at my life not as a completed book, but perhaps a series of short stories. Some of them were good, and some of them were mistakes that I'd rather not revisit. But I'm going to take that metaphorical pen and put it back in my hand. I'm starting this journey, this habit of speaking my truth and sharing my process, not because I have any kind of map or Google Maps isn't telling me which way to go, but it's because I'm tired of standing still. I'm learning how to be honest about my setbacks, honest to myself and honest to the people around me. I have this creative energy inside of me that I want to do something with. And so I'm still learning now how to balance my 9 to 5 world that I'm, required to do with my creative mindset. I'm still trying to figure things out. Like, what is it like to be a guy in his late 40s who is brave enough to begin again? So I said before that I was very nervous about this, and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. I have this fear of looking stupid. I have this fear that people will see me starting a YouTube channel or a podcast and think, What is he doing? Isn't he a bit old for that? But then I ask myself, what's the alternative? Well, the alternative is to just do nothing, is to stay quiet and sit at my desk and watch the clock, waiting for my retirement so I can finally start, quote unquote, living. But that feels more dangerous in this day and age than failing at a new hobby. So if you feel stuck right now, like I do, whether it's in your career, your mindset, or perhaps just your daily grind routine, I want you to know that you're not alone. That feeling of being behind is a ghost. It isn't real. You can't be behind in a life that you're only just surviving. You know, we compare our behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel on social media, and we conclude that we missed the boat. But I don't think my boat has ever even left the dock. I think it's just been there the whole time with the anchor down and tied in. You just have to be willing to get on that boat, even if you're the oldest person on board. Lift that anchor. Just go out into the bay for a while. You don't have to go fully out into the ocean yet, but give things a try. So I'm creating this space for the real conversations. I'm not going to give you fake motivation. I'm not going to talk about rise and grind. I'm not going to talk about sucking it up or being a man or crushing it 24/7, because that's not real. I just want the honest process of what it looks like to grow, even when you're already grown up. I don't have a let me try that again. I don't have a 10-step plan for you today. I don't have a course, and I'm not a guru. All I have is this invitation. Look at one area of your life where you've been saying it's too late. And just for a second, entertain the idea that you might be wrong. I'm 49 and I'm just getting started. I'm still becoming who I'm supposed to be. And maybe you are too. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.